Welcome to another Stuart Media video blog telling you everything that you need to know to get ranked high in Google. A few things today. Firstly, the workshop. I want to quickly give you an update on that. Also the Google algorithm update. Some of you may have been hit pretty hard by that in the last couple of weeks. You may have seen something in the national Australian newspapers over the weekend about that too. And thirdly, I just wanted to touch on election videos. And but first, the workshop. Next Wednesday, the 7th of November in Melbourne. And we've got 4 seats left, so be quick. And look, if you're watching this video, you want to know about search marketing, right? You probably want to get enough tips to do it yourself. The workshop is a good way to cut through a lot of shortcuts. You can find all the information I teach at this workshop online. The trick is it might take you a couple of years to find it all, because it took me several years to work out what I'm doing. So the workshop is a way of shortcutting that for you. So what you're paying for in that is essentially time. You're paying for getting up to speed really quickly on what works and what doesn't. And speaking of what doesn't work, the Google algorithm update. It happened a couple of weeks ago. And you may have noticed in the press there were a lot of blogging sites that got hit pretty hard. In fact, one of Australia's probably most well-known pro bloggers anyway, Darren Rouse, he was in the newspaper and saying that his revenue has been hit, or looks like it's going to be hit pretty hard. Basically what Google has done is downvalued what it thinks of paid links for a site. So for instance, every link that goes to your site, Google considers that a vote for your site, essentially. But if that link is a paid link to your site, is that as valuable as someone who just thinks, I think this is a really good site? And I would say, no, it's not as valuable. If you're paying someone to link to you, it's like paying to have a friend. And so Google has rightly downvalued them. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, that's because they want AdWords, people to use Google AdWords rather than advertise on other people's sites and a whole bunch of other things. But really, it gets down to, what is Google trying to do? It's trying to provide the most relevant results to a user. And part of that equation is how many other sites are linking to this particular site. And if all those links are paid links, well, it's sort of devalues the algorithm in a way. So I don't blame Google for downvaluing paid links at all. I think it's a good idea. We never pay for links on other people's sites unless there's a real value in it, unless there's a demographic or there's traffic coming from that site that you just want to get right in front of them straight away. That's a legitimate reason to pay for links. But as far as doing it to increase your ranking, not a good idea. You really should be looking for free links, and there's plenty of ways to get free links out there. And if you come to the workshop, I'll show you how. Finally today, I just wanted to touch on the political electioneering with Web 2.0, which of course is jargonistic for Facebook, MySpace, YouTube, and in some ways Google, I guess. But the Australian politicians' exercise has certainly failed. We're bringing out a report on this in the next couple of weeks, but if you go to YouTube and you type in John Howard, pretty much every video is a negative one, or it's one taking a poke at the Prime Minister, and there are no particle political speeches on that front page of YouTube. They're all either, in fact, the most watched John Howard video, if you type John Howard into YouTube, is entitled John Howard is a farting fossil fool. And that's the most watched video. Contrary, Kevin Rudd, if you type that into YouTube, does have more positive videos and also party political videos. In fact, the number one video is a party political one. It's hard to say. And but the interesting thing, the most watched one, is entitled Kevin Rudd Eats His Own Earwax. And as gross as that may sound, well, go and look at the video for yourself. it shows me that the politicians have not got it right when it comes to YouTube. A politician that has got it right when it comes to YouTube is in the US federal election. Now, this is even more interesting if you're a nerd like myself. It's even more interesting because there are such huge gaps between what's happening with some of the candidates running up for the primaries to get the nomination from their party to run for president. The one that's doing it most successfully is a guy called Ron Paul. He's not given any hope in any of the offline polls, but he has certainly captured the online market. He gets more searches in Google than any other politician. In fact, he'd be more than 50% more than what Hillary Clinton would get. And his videos, every one of his videos is glowing, and a lot of them are user generated. What is even more interesting is that he gets 8,300 searches a day in Google. Rudy Giuliani, who's meant to be the Republican front runner, is getting 930 searches a day in Google. Contrary to what Ron Paul is seeing in YouTube, if you type Rudy Giuliani into YouTube, every video is negative. And in fact, if you do a search for Ron Paul on YouTube, the page rank of the search results page is actually a PR3, which is massive for just a search in YouTube. Which means that there must be significant sites linking purely to a search in YouTube for Ron Paul. The number one video for Ron Paul actually gets a Google page rank of 5 out of 10. Now, up until recent times, that was the same page rank as google.com.au. So it is a significantly high ranking. The Rudy Giuliani search, no page rank for the search, but for the number one video, it also has a PR5, which means there are a lot of people linking to it. Unfortunately for Rudy Giuliani, it's one of him in drag, and all the comments around the video are very, very negative. So to me, what it shows is that, because a lot of people have said to me, oh, look, the YouTube audience doesn't go to YouTube for political speeches. They don't, but they do use it to research. And, that's become very evident with the US election. The trouble with the Australian politicians is that they've tried to use it a bit like a broadcast medium where they've just, whacked up their party political speeches. That isn't what it's about. If I was advising them, I would be putting together montage videos on, them doing the rounds, voiceovers, highlights from debates. Might be a bit hard since we've only had one debate, but anyway, you know what I mean. But not just party political speeches or ads, for goodness sake. It is the spot for being creative. You don't have a limited amount of time, but you should be trying to capture that viewer as quickly as possible and encourage them through whatever it is that you're saying to tell other people about the video. Unfortunately, if you take the YouTube results as your yardstick, nobody else is terribly interested in what our politicians have to say. So that's it for this week. Remember, workshop's closing fast and you will learn heaps, and there's heaps of freebies along with it. And if you have got questions you want asked on search marketing, then please send them in and we'll answer them. And until next time, see you then.